Chapter 2 Audio Equipment. The topic introduce basic principles and operation of audio system equipment. Audio system configuring, assembling and troubleshooting of minor faults are to be practiced. In this lesson, there are things that will be introduced to you throughout this class. Before we start our lessons, these are the questions that you need to answer first. In your understanding, what is audio equipment? Answer, and submit it through your CDOS prepared by your lecturer. The first one we'll be learning today is amplifier. So what do amplifiers function as parts of the audio equipment system? Do you know the answers? Submit your answers in the CDOS prepared for you. The audio amplifier is an electronic amplifier that amplifies low audio signals to a high-level audio signal. The image shown indicates, where does the amplifier take part in the audio system's chain? The amplifier will be in the middle of the audio system's chain to amplify the signal, send it from the input, mic, to the mixer through the amplifier, out to the output, speakers. Next, we will be learning about the history of the amplifier. Before we proceed, answer these questions first. What year the audio amplifier was invented? What is the early name of the amplifier? Answer it through CDOS. So let's proceed. History of audio amplifier. The audio amplifier was invented in 1909 by Lee DeForest. Early audio amplifiers were based on vacuum tubes, also known as valves. Most modern audio amplifiers are based on transistors, solid-state devices. There are two types of audio amplifier. 1. Tube amps, vacuum tube-based. 2. Solid-state, transistor-based. Before we proceed, in your opinion, what does tube amps, vacuum tube-based, function as? Next, does solid-state amps run much cooler than tube amps? Answer this in the CDOS. The first type of M is tube amplifiers. Vacuum tubes were the dominant active electronic components in amplifiers manufactured from the 1930s through the early 1970s. Tube amplifiers continue to be preferred by some professional musicians. Some musicians believe that tube amplifiers produce a warmer or more natural sound than solid-state units. Tube amplifiers use vacuum tubes to convert the AC signal to a DC current that can power speakers. Combinations of multiple tubes increase the overall gain of the signal. The image shown are the example of tube amplifier. Next, solid-state amplifiers. By the 1960s and 1970s, semiconductor transistor-based amplifiers began to become more popular because they are less expensive, lighter weight, and require less maintenance. Solid-state amps run much cooler than tube amps, which create a lot of heat from the output tubes. The image shown are the example of solid-state amplifier. So as you learn about amplifiers, let's recap together with what have we learned. First one, what is amplifier? State two types of amplifier in our lesson. What does the amplifier function as? Where does the amplifier located in the audio system chain? Who's the first person that invented the amplifier in 1909? In your own writing, submit all the answer through CDOS for all the question by the end of the class before we proceed to the next part of audio equipment.
The second audio equipment that will be introduced in this chapter is the speaker. Before we proceed with our lesson, please answer this question first and submit it in your CDOS. Define what is speaker. Okay, let us proceed with our lesson. The speaker. Speaker drivers are individual transducer that converts electrical energy to sound waves, typically as part of a loudspeaker. The diagram shows are the parts that were used in the speaker. The outer part consists of a frame or basket, a dust cap, and a diaphragm. while the inner part consist of a pole piece, spider, voice coil, tags and lead wires. Speaker driver. There are many different types of speaker drivers. The most common ones are the woofer, mid-range and tweeter, as well subwoofers. Before we proceed, do you know each of this speaker functions as? Please answer it and submit it through C-DOS. Full range. A full-range speaker is designed to handle the full range of sounds that frequency most people can hear. This figure shows the loudspeaker with three types of dynamic drivers which consist of 1. Mid-range driver. The mid-range speaker reproduces mid-range frequencies from about 500 Hz to 6000 Hz. The mid-range area contains most of the sound for voices and instruments. Speaker placement is more critical because mid-range sound is more directional. 2. Tweeter. The tweeter reproduces high frequencies from about 6000 Hz to nearly 20,000 Hz. It is responsible for the brilliance in the sound, mostly associated with harmonics. Speaker placement and angle are critical because high-frequency sounds are very directional. 3. Woofers. Woofer reproduces low frequencies from about 500 Hz down to 100 Hz, the bass sounds. Speaker placement is not critical because woofers are omnidirectional. In addition to woofers, there are also parts that are called as subwoofer. The subwoofer reproduces extremely low frequencies from about 100 Hz down to 20 Hz. These frequencies are felt more than heard. The subwoofer gives the bottom end beat to music and the thunderous effects to movie soundtracks. If your sound system is not used for music with a heavy beat or movie soundtracks, then you may not need a subwoofer. Main or house speaker system. The main or house speakers deliver the sound to the audience. Usually a combination of tweeters, mid-ranges, woofers, and possibly subwoofers designed for smooth frequency response over a wide frequency range and able to operate at high volume levels is used for the main or house speaker system. Monitor system, speaker. The monitor speaker system is located in or aimed at the performance area. Monitor speakers enable the performers to hear themselves and other necessary elements of the program, i.e. music. Usually monitor speakers consist of a combination of a tweeter and a woofer in a slanted cabinet designed to aim the sound back toward the performers. If multiple monitor mixes are required, each performer may have their own monitor speakers. Next, we will be learning on how to create the layout for the speaker. The factors consists guiding the layout of speakers are the area covered by each speaker, the evenness of coverage desired, and depends on the client's budget. These are the example of layout, on how the speaker were arranged in the layout as shown. Refer to layout, and identify where is the position of each speaker. Answer this question. Client budget for the layout were 400,000 Malaysian ringgit. If the clients wants the layout that consist of monitor speaker, mid-range, tweeter and woofers. How does the layout will looks like in your plan? Draw the layout and submit it to your lecturer in the class. Have you submitted? If yes, let us proceed. The next diagram are about the placement of your speaker. Please, refer the layout given. Here are tips to avoid problem when you are assigned to arrange the speaker for any occasions. There are a few general rules that can help you avoid the problem. 1. Make sure the speakers are in front of the microphone and pointing away from the microphone. If the speakers are behind the microphone, then feedback is nearly guaranteed. 2. Use a unidirectional microphone. 3. Place the microphone close to the person who is speaking, performing. 4. If you have access to an equalizer, dampen the frequencies where feedback is occurring.
As we see, these are the two pieces of audio equipment that was introduced in the classes. In the next video chapter, we will continue the lesson on the calculation and connections between amplifiers and loudspeakers. Also, we will learn how the audio recording works.
Thank you for watching the video. See you next time. Bye and have a good day.